welcome to Talking Bottom on the Young Ones. I'm Ange Pearson.
I'm Paul Tanter.
And I'm Matt Brooks.
On today's episode, we're talking about the comic relief charity single Living Doll by Cliff Richard and the Young Ones, plus their iconic performance on Comic Relief Utterly, Utterly Live. Yes, 1986 saw the rebirth of our beloved Rick, Neil, Vivian, and Mike, when the real Cliff Richard forgave all their sins, having crashed through his face, and he raised them up from the bottom of that quarry, all in the name of charity, mate. Living Doll was released on the 8th of March 1986, entering the UK singles chart at number 4 on the 16th of March, and it reached number 1 the following week on the 23rd of March, pushing Chain Reaction by Diana Ross down to number 2. The single remained at number 1 for 3 weeks, with around 1.5 million records being sold in total. That's just shy of the original Living Doll version, which sold 1.86 million. Comic Relief is such an institution that not many may be aware that Living Doll, the charity single, was released 2 years before the first ever Red Nose Day. The first televised Red Nose Day was Friday, 5th of Feb 1988. The very first Comic Relief fundraising performances were Comic Relief Utterly, Utterly Live, which took place on the 4th, 5th, and 6th of April 1986 at the Shaftesbury Theatre in London. An edited version was later televised on the BBC. Comic Relief Utterly, Utterly Live featured the cream of British comedy, performing sketches including Rowan Atkinson, Angus Deaton, Stephen Fry, French and Saunders, Lenny Henry, Ronnie Corbett, Billy Connolly, plus songs with various musical guests, all rounded off with a rendition of Feed the World. But let's start by talking about Living Doll. It raised over £1 million for Comic Relief. The B-side is called All the Little Flowers Are Happy, with some brilliant dialogue from the boys. I just want to, I suppose, kicking off the idea of a charity single wasn't new, of course. Bob Geldof had released Band-Aids, Do They Know It's Christmas, in the December of 1984. And then, of course, Live Aid to raise funds for the famine in Ethiopia. And that was a similar, sort of inspiration, I believe, for Richard Curtis, etc., to do a charity single. And of course, the Young Ones were the hot comedy, like cream of the crop at the time.
Yeah, like Live Aid had showed that you could do a charity single, make a lot of money, do a lot of good, raise a lot of money for charity and produce a good song at the same time. But this one, I'm very glad that they went down a different road of let's do a comedy one. The Young Ones, 2 years after that they kind of come off the TV, so there's still a big popularity for them. There's reruns on the TV. The Bachelor Boys book had been released, and they went down the comedy route, and it's a great comedy single, isn't it?
Well, it became an institution, didn't it? The comedy single for Comic Relief was what I looked forward to. Always look forward to seeing who was going to do it,
Well, one thing that sets it apart as well, obviously it's Comic Relief, so you need the comedy element of it. If it's a comedy single, it doesn't need to sound good, quote unquote. Like you can, and I love that Vivian Aid is actually a very good singer, and he sings as Vivian purposely awful. I love the reaction to Cliff hearing him in the headphones while he's screaming. I don't think he's acting. He's like, wincing.
Yeah, he's a very good sport in it, isn't he? It's easy to forget how ubiquitous this song was. I mean, Ange, you said that like sold 1.5 million singles. This was, as someone who grew up in the 80s, born in 1980, in my house, we had a record player and my mum and dad had a lot of records. But I remember there were about 5 singles on LP that we had that were like for us, for the kids, that we would play basically on a repeat, on loop. And they were Walk Like an Egyptian by the Bangles, The Final Countdown by Europe, Reet Petite by Jackie Wilson, which was made famous in the 80s by a sort of stop motion plasticized video, a bit like in the style of Oh No Not Them opening credits, Rat Rapping by Roland Rat, because he released a single as well, and the Young Ones and Cliff Richard, Living Doll. And they were the singles we had in our house growing up. This and the book was sort of my entry to the Young Ones. And from this single, I think my first impression was, it's kind of Rick Mayall and the Young Ones, because he's the one who starts off the single. He's talking, and in the video it starts very close on his face and comes back, and it sort of seems like he is really the star of the song, isn't he? So and even when you see them on stage doing the Comic Relief show, it's Rick Mayall who comes on first, and it's as Rick, the student, does the introduction. And he even sort of says, I've got 3 bastards who are backing for me,
Yeah, it's because of Rick's love for Cliff Richard, isn't it? Like, it's the Rick character's
Yeah,
love for
Yeah.
yeah.
Cliff Richard is the reason why they're collaborating with Cliff, and it all just completely makes sense within the world of Rick's character, how excited he is. I love it when Rick is sort of like, "It's Cliff Richard!" And,
Yeah.
like, he's just absolutely delighted, isn't he? Like, that
I
they're
think
with Cliff.
that's him in character and as the person a bit, I think. Now then, Paul, I've got a question
Mm.
for you then. If this was your introduction to the young ones, did you think that
Yeah,
Rick was more of the leader of the young ones? Because in character, it it should be Mike introducing it all, but
yeah,
just
yeah.
because of the reality stuff, like they put their best foot forward and had Rick Mal do it.
I think that having the book and this being the introduction meant that when I saw the TV show, I was a bit surprised that Rick was a bit more of a sort of put upon character because he seems sort of flamboyant and, as I say, like almost the leader of the group, even though there are bits in the song where he's sort of getting, put upon. So yeah, yeah, I think it didn't give me the same
Mhm.
perception that I would have got if I'd seen the show first. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I disagree that Mike. I know what you're saying, Matt. With like Mike is kind of like the dad or whatever, but he's not the leader in the group, is he? Like he's obviously the one with the power in the hierarchy within the Young Ones as a sitcom. But I feel like in terms of the voice that shouts the loudest, you'd think it is either Rick or
Hmm.
Vivian, really, isn't it? And
Yeah.
I mean, that opening speech from Rick is so powerful, isn't it? Like,
It is, isn't it? It's really good, and I love the way the video for it. Because obviously we're talking about the live performance here at the Comic Relief Show in the Shaftesbury Avenue, but also because they released it on single, they did a music video for it as well.
yep.
The shot of that is like this wonderful starts tight on Rick's face and comes back, and it's all in one shot, isn't it? And ends up with them walking down the street. Really well done. I don't. Do we know who directed that? Because it was a really good video.
I'm not sure. Maybe it was Paul Jackson. He was involved with Comic Relief,
Maybe.
but I'm not sure.
Yeah.
He's
Oh,
credited him and Jeff Posner with the broadcast version of Utterly Utterly Live,
right.
but I don't know about the Comic Relief thing.
Yeah, we should, by the way, make it clear that Paul Jackson was one of the founders of Comic Relief,
Mhm.
wasn't he? Because I feel like Richard Curtis's PR has done a good job of making the world sort of think that Richard Curtis kind of invented Comic Relief. Do you know what I mean?
Well,
And
I think
I'm
it
not
was
saying for any bad ways, but
for the purposes of, kind of historical accuracy, I believe it was after a trip to Ethiopia that Richard Curtis decided he wanted to do something for,
okay,
for
okay.
raising funds. And then it was that Paul Jackson became the founding chairman. So he was
Hmm.
obviously very much on board immediately with it. But I think it was Richard Curtis's idea, which is why it's always credited to him.
Yeah.
Mm.
And then, but yeah, Paul Jackson is very proud of it, isn't he? He served as the chairman and trustee for the first 12 years, helping to sort of shape it and establish it. And obviously is
Hmm.
very proud of the fact every single pound that was ever raised and is still ever raised goes to charitable causes. It is
Yeah.
an incredible institution. I think we forget now that we're so far, beyond its like 1988 first carnation on the telly. Like Red Nose Day was something that I always looked forward to. Like Comic
Mm.
Relief was such a
Yeah.
thing that was just always around.
For
But,
me, the fact that it was that the TV had been taken over
mm,
by the naughty
Hmm.
people, right? That's kind of
yeah.
what I felt like as a kid. I remember really clearly one Red Nose Day where the announcer started it by saying, "We've actually decided to cancel Red Nose Day because we thought it's a bit childish." And then they put on there was I can't remember the name of it. It was a sitcom set in ancient Rome with everyone in togas. Do you remember this at all?
What? Not
It,
not plebs. I mean, but is this like
no,
like an?
no,
Are you talking
no.
about when you were a kid? This
Yeah,
happened.
so this would be in the
Oh, up
90s.
Pompeii.
It might have been, but I just seen it on TV a bit, so I was aware of it. And then they showed that as if they
Yeah.
were showing another episode of this. And then Lenny Henry walked in
Okay.
and put a custard pie on the guy's
Okay.
face as a thing as well. And as a kid, like,
Right.
oh, thank God they haven't cancelled it. Ah,
Sounds like a very fun one. Well, anyway, we digress because we're not talking about the Red Nose Day. We're
yeah.
talking about the Genesis because I think, I mean, forgive me if I'm wrong. In my mind, I always thought the charity single for the young ones, because of course I was 3 years old when this came out, so I kind of found out about it afterwards. Because when I used to watch Comic
Hmm.
Relief, they would play the young ones and Cliff Richard singing Living Doll, and they would play the video on late night. When it got to like 1 a.m. after Red
Yeah.
Nose Day finished, they'd
Yeah.
show these old clips, wouldn't they? And I
Well,
always thought that video of them on stage in Utterly Utterly Live was from an early Red Nose Day. I
Hmm.
didn't realize that that had been a one-off. Well, I mean, it was filmed across 3 nights, but a one-off charity performance that had happened live in a theatre, that it wasn't a TV thing. I had always thought that, oh, they were just on the first ever Red Nose Day. But of course, they weren't. The first ever Red Nose Day didn't feature the young ones. I think they replayed this, but it was actually Rick in his Alan Bastard character in The New Statesman. That's when they
Right.
have that brilliant sketch of him trying to get, like, what was it, the Maggie to cancel the BBC.
The one where he kind of slips into a Rick from the Young Ones / Richie kind of impression. Yeah,
It's Rick. I
yeah.
mean, he's doing Rick for the young ones because it was like 1988, wasn't it? So he goes into his, like,
Mm.
it's
It's
seamlessly between the two characters.
it's
But yeah,
greatest hits.
it's the fact that the young ones by 1988 had died a death. I think in 1986 there was this huge, like, popularity for them. I think I've seen, it was on the Rick Mail scrapbook website, which is great resource for anything to do with
So
Rick.
what you
It's like
sorry,
us
what you
kids were
mean?
really upset that they were all gone. So when
What?
they were
Mm.
reborn and they were back on the telly, it was like, oh, they're not dead,
All
they're
right.
back, and there's more
Okay.
stuff,
I
with Cliff.
when you
Like,
said
that is really
the young
fun.
ones had died a death, that to me, I thought you meant that they had like bombed on state. Like, I'm like, what? What do you mean? You mean being killed off?
Yeah, well, they were no longer doing anything else as the young ones characters, were they? They'd all moved on. They were after this
Hmm.
charity moment. I believe they never appeared as them
This was
again.
their swan song.
Yeah,
It's what I understand. Yeah.
yeah.
So we're jumping all over the shop. Should we talk about the
Let's talk
single
about
and
the
the
video.
music video and then the live performance? Right.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So
That's what
you
we're doing.
guys, right. So
So
you
the
guys have mentioned how
this
you first come across it. How I first come across it was my mum knew I was into Red Nose Day, that I loved it, and then she just bought me a present one day, not on Red Nose Day at all, in the middle of the year, a random day, a VHS of Red Nose Day's greatest hits or something. So, hey Matt, you like this? I'm like, oh, great, thank you. The Young Ones wasn't even on the cover, had no idea. Put it on, and then it's all this stuff. Da, 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 new Young Ones content suddenly. I'm like,
Yeah.
I said,
was it what was it the music
music
video or
video.
was it the
Yeah,
live at Shaft's?
it was the
It was
music
the music
video.
video. Okay.
So it starts, and
Amazing.
I knew what it was instantly. With it's a close up on Rick's spotty face
Mhm.
and spotty mouth. You're like, oh my god, is that? Is and it pans out. It's the
It's just brilliant.
you imagine not knowing you were going to
Yeah.
get a new Young Ones thing suddenly just dropped on your lap like that.
It is.
Never
I mean,
happened.
it still feels exciting to me when I see that playing. It's like close up on Rick and all that. Hey kids, stop snogging and listen to
Yeah,
me. Like, I think Ben Elton did say when we were, I think it was at the Slapstick Fest. He's like, I wrote that for Rick. Like,
yeah,
it is like such a rousing speech, and you can, all that kind of like, and it's a brilliant, like, punk skins, Rastas, Keith Chegwin, like,
yeah.
it's just like, doesn't matter what you are. I mean, it's really, really fantastic. I think you guys have previously said there's a little niggle in that, like, the smack from Vivian
Yes, because it's
doesn't
all
have the
done in one
exact
shot.
timing on
It's
Rick.
one in one
Yeah,
shot. They've
Oh,
obviously had to do it. He smashes, yeah, Vivian smashes a vase or something over Rick's head, and
yeah.
there's like a 1 second
Which I
reaction pause.
which I'd never noticed before, but
Oh,
since you guys pointed it out, it now is like, oh yeah, no, that is slightly off the beat.
you talking about the music video?
yes.
Yeah,
Oh,
Have
it's
you not
okay
noticed it?
because it's funny you say that because also in the Shaftesbury Avenue bit performance when Ade smacks Rick round the head, there's no sound effect, and you're like, oh come on, that needed a sound effect. So,
oh,
Yeah.
no,
okay.
I can't remember if I've noticed the mistiming before.
You
Oh
definitely
man.
have, because we
I'll,
both chatted about it on a pre. It must
okay,
have been when we were talking about Rick the Poet, I guess. But anyway, that is
yeah.
by the by. It's an absolutely
Hmm.
iconic video,
Mm,
and I just love, like you said before, Matt. The brilliant thing about Comic Relief that always used to be this kind of ethos of, like, the naughty people have taken over,
Hmm.
anything can happen, and this entire video obviously leans into every
mm,
single one of the characters of and what they would be
mm,
doing and what they'd be getting up to, and their banter between each other, and, like you say, Cliff Richard's reactions. Like, Cliff, for all that he is quite, like, not exactly fucking cool, right?
Hmm.
He's got a
mm.
sense of humor, hasn't he? I think him doing this single proved what a sense of humour Cliff Richard has, because he could easily have been,
Definitely.
nah, I'm
Yeah.
not fucking touching that, they're going to ruin my cred, where
Yeah.
actually he was like, oh, this is a chance to get A, more people knowing who I am, the kids, and B, just have a laugh. You could tell he's having a laugh with them. Like, it's great.
That leads us really nicely on to an article that we have access to. Ange, if you want to read that out about, it's a sort of press release around the time.
Yes.
Okay, so this is the 7th of March, 1986. This is a piece from, can't actually tell which paper, but by the print, it's either the Mirror or the Star, I would wager. Nice Guy Cliff puts the boot in on TV's nastiest comics. It was a wicked moment of triumph for Britain's most saintly pop star. The day Cliff Richard got his revenge on the young ones, the TV nasties who'd been poking fun at him for years. He got them on the floor and put the boot in. It was wonderful to get my own back. Such satisfaction, says Cliff, with an evil grin. A joke's a joke, but this one had gone too far. I just had to get a bit of good-humoured revenge. And anyway, it's all in a good cause. Should I have done that in the Cliff voice? No.
What is the Cliff voice?
It's just too nice, isn't it?
I
And
feel
anyway,
like
it's all in a good cause.
I feel like it's a bit like a Tony Blackburn sort of.
He's always so smug, isn't he?
Yeah.
But nice. Anyway, Cliff has teamed up with the Young Ones to make a new version of his hit, Living Doll. All the proceeds will go to famine relief. He agreed to bury the hatchet for the recording session, even though he's been a prime target of their wacky humour. The Young Ones TV show was named after one of Cliff's early hits. And Rick Mail, who plays a Cliff fan in the series, is always being scorned by his flatmates for his untrendy taste in music. Laughed Rick. After all we've done to the man, I'm surprised he agreed to sing with us. But Cliff's proved to have a really good sense of humour. He certainly had his revenge on us. We were all assembled ready for our photos to be done in our typical Young Ones poses. Cliff was just meant to be looking, the way Cliff usually does. But just as the camera clicked, he went and stuck his finger up his nose. Can you imagine Cliff picking his nose? Adds Cliff. That showed him. They thought I was going to be all straight and serious, but I'm not like that at all. Cliff has roped in his old Shadows pal Hank Marvin to play on the disc. But this zany version of Living Doll will be nothing like the original. It opens to the sound of Rick eating his saxophone and Viv throwing the band out of the window. Then Cliff sings, I'm going to lock her up in a trunk so no big hunk can steal her away from me. Rick butts in, I still think locking girls in trunks is politically unsound. Neil, yeah man, it's the elephant I feel sorry for. Then there's an instrumental break as Viv smashes up a piano and violin and tries to throw Cliff out of the window. In real life, the spotty, spitting Viv is serious, bespectacled Ade Edmondson. He's barely recognisable with his soft ginger tufts of hair and peaches and cream complexion. People rarely recognise me, he whispers in scarcely audible tones. And if I am spotted, I absolutely hate it. I'm really quite shy, he says. Oh yeah, and Cliff was born yesterday, I suppose.
Right,
End of the article. This is written by Jill Pringle. What a great byline.
That is.
Well done, Jill Pringle.
That piece definitely has its tongue in its cheek, doesn't it? By trying to engineer a kind of riff between them.
That absolutely smacks to me of they invited press along to a photo shoot, to the press call.
Right.
They'll have done some photos in front of the press and they'll have given them 5 minutes, if that, to chat to them afterwards.
Yeah.
I can't imagine all of that back and forth conversation necessarily being put out in a press release.
I mean,
it feels like she was there watching them dick around, doesn't it?
I was going to say, I mean, if it's a tabloid, she probably just made most of this stuff up, right?
No, I don't know. I think you'd have been there. Like, she's got direct quotes from them.
Okay.
Well, and then there's a bunch of stuff that doesn't happen it doesn't try and throw him out of a window.
It's a comedy single, isn't it? And maybe there was a cut that we haven't seen and they would have shown them the video. And maybe there were some directorial cuts afterwards.
Maybe. Yeah.
Because he doesn't throw him out the window, does he? He ends up bonking him on the head, doesn't he?
Yes. All of them.
Or maybe she's just going on the sounds in the single. There are sounds that sound like someone's being thrown out a window or being tied up or whatever, you know.
Yeah. Well, anyway, it's
what
a bit of fun.
What does it sound like to be tied up?
Well, do you know, okay, so in the single, there's like a weird sort of like crackly crunching sound. And then Mike says, Vivian, untie Neil's legs. Now, I admit, the sound is not one I would go, oh, someone's being tied up there.
Is it sellotape?
No.
There you go, might be. Yeah.
I think it might be sellotape.
I thought that was meant to be he's tied his legs up in like a knot and that's bones crunching.
Oh,
That's
I,
what
even
I
more
understood it
I
as.
never,
serious, yeah.
I never thought it was that
Yeah.
level of crunchiness.
Yeah, I think it might be the
Because I
new
think it's
sellotape.
I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'd have to study it again.
Yeah.
Well, there we go. So that was obviously before it came out, and it's interesting they just say it's for famine relief, so it's before
Yeah.
comic relief's even being mentioned as a name, isn't it?
Ange, I think you hit the nail on the head there when you said it was naughty, because as someone who heard the song before I saw the video, everything they did joke wise and messing around wise in character really translated to someone who, when I heard it, I was 6 and my sister was 4, and we would listen to it and laugh at, like, we weren't listening to it for the music. It was for things like hearing Rick going, "We'll cut her hair, it's real," and then things like you can hear what sounded like a burp that sounded a bit like a frog. The things like, when they go get down and Neil goes okay, and then you hear a crash. That had me and my sister howling laughing, or like Vivian going, "What do you want us to break?" Those are the bits that as kids absolutely like entertained us. And that was just hearing it. And then at some point later, when the video's on the TV, I'm like, oh my god, I get to see this as well. This is actually, I get to see what they're doing. Yeah.
And
it was
that's,
like great for kids,
the reveal, I don't think I'd twigged previously, but that reveal of like Rick's pretending to play the guitar and then he steps back and it's the reveal that it's Hank Marvin actually doing the riff. So much of it is like goes over your head when you're little, doesn't it? Because there's that sort of, after Rick's "it's real," Mike says "just feel," and Rick goes after "just feel," and like all of that like doesn't necessarily go in terms of the rudeness, but like
So-
it's all just fun.
Right. So obviously we all knew it was a charity single when we watched it, came to it and stuff. But do you think when it was first revealed, people may have thought it was just the young ones introducing Cliff Richard? Because they do their bit and then they're Cliff Richard and then just him
Think
doing
they
it.
would have bought it thinking it was a lovely
Yeah.
just rendition from Cliff. I mean, I'd like to
Yeah.
think not, but maybe, because
Yeah.
it's something that you might have just seen in the shop and thought, oh, I'll pick that up, it's for charity. But yeah, I mean,
But I mean the
I think we
video, I
do
suppose. Just the way it's them walking down the street, the intro, and then it cuts just Cliff Richard in the studio singing. And I think you get maybe about 5 seconds before then the lights come up and you see the young ones in the background.
you'd be sucked in for all of a few seconds, wouldn't you, if that is what you were thinking? But I just absolutely think the video adds to it so much, doesn't it? Like all that messing around that they're
Oh
doing.
yeah.
And then, like, just again, like I said before, like it's all just what their characters would be saying. Like Mike's like, "Does all this have to go to charity?" About the money.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
Are
then
you sure?
He's-
Yeah, are
he's-
you sure
he's
this
got-
has to go to charity? Something like that.
and
Isn't
then
it?
I love like Cliff. Cliff doesn't know who Rick is, and he's like, "Her great joke, Your Majesty," and like, like Cliff being called shaky repeatedly by
Vivian's
Vivian.
going around breaking stuff.
Yeah, but he repeatedly calls him shaky, doesn't he? He repeatedly calls him shaky for shaking
Yeah.
Stevens.
Yeah.
He's like, obviously it's a purposeful joke, but he doesn't even know who he is. And then you've just, as you say, you've got Neil just being very Neil.
What's the mistake, Vivian? Right before they bring him on stage at the Shaftesbury, who does he introduce Cliff as? Who is it? Who is it? He pretend. Who is it? He thinks he's bringing on. It wasn't Cliff, was it? It was.
It's John Craven. But they
It's a
do. Oh, he does
newsreader.
say shaky. He does say shaky on stage as well. But we'll talk about the live performance
Right.
after we finish with the vid. But yeah, he calls him shaky on that night as well. I love Neil's, like, after the Rick's "I still feel locking girls in trunks is politically unsound," and then like it's a song Rick, and then "I feel sorry for the elephant" from Neil. Like it's just a brilliant, like, the pun of trunk and everything. Like I mean, they were always so rich in their writing.
So all three young ones writers were involved with this, weren't they? Ben, Lisa, and Rick. And I think it's credited as well at the young ones did a lot of their own little ad libs and stuff. On the skipping ahead to the Utterly Live performance, when the credits happen at the very end, the last credit is the young ones. That none of the individuals actually get a
well, they're
get a
collectively
credit.
like a band, aren't they? In this world, in the world of the Comic Relief single, the young ones are not really particularly name checked by anyone else, are they? They're performing as if they're basically taking the place of the Shadows, aren't they? It's as if Cliff hasn't got his backing group and he's had to get anyone to come in to help him, and it's like the worst possible foursome you could imagine coming in, and that's what's so fucking brilliant, isn't it? It's like, of course Cliff Richard would never be performing with these reprobates if it wasn't for charity. And I love the end of it. I mean, we'll go on to the live, but like the end of the video where Vivian bonks basically everyone on the head and then he knocks
Including
himself
Cliff.
out
Starting with Cliff as well.
3 times.
Starting
Oh,
with Cliff.
yeah.
Because he's like, "Can I go now?" And Viv just
Yeah,
whacks him,
bosh.
doesn't he? And
Infinite-
Cliff actually has a really good reaction to that. I think
Yeah, he goes down
sells
straight
it.
away,
He
and
sells
then
it, doesn't he? Yeah.
and it ends with Viv trying to hit himself over the head and it doesn't
Yeah.
quite work. And then, yeah, did you know this single was the first UK number? Well, I'll read it out. Called it was Cliff Richard was the first artist to reach a number one with two distinct versions of the same song.
Oh,
Oh,
well, that's
okay.
incredible, isn't it? And to be honest, like obviously the fact it was charity is why it obviously sold 1.5 million. But yeah, the original was 1.86 million, which is not that much
Not
of a difference, is it?
Yeah.
And when you think about how popular like Cliff Richard is and was, like it
Well,
is quite staggering that
I'm
they nearly matched.
sure that Cliff. Well, firstly, I'll precursor this by saying I'm confident that Cliff did it entirely for altruistic and charitable purposes, but also I'm sure that his back catalogue saw a nice, sizable uplift in sales. If you recall when Diana died and Elton John did "Candle in the Wind," all the money for that went to charity, but all of Elton's albums rose up the charts. So I'm sure Cliff did pretty well at it.
I remember Cliff Richard actually. Yeah, it's like that. Yeah.
I do. I would like to say though as well about just about like the charity single element. Like at the time, like obviously you've had Band Aid, and we pointed out this is a comedy one, so it's like even more kind of fun to like listen to, isn't it? And for exchanging your money and all that kind of stuff. And like at the time, like it's hard to kind of like think about it in today's context because no one rushes out to buy singles anymore. Like it's all downloads and streaming and shit, isn't it? So like 1.5 million in the context of 1986, I think it's a really sizable fucking chunk. I mean, it went to number 4, then number 1, and stayed there for 3 weeks. Like that is a real
It's gold, isn't it? It's gold disc.
Well, yeah, well, if that's exactly what I was about to say. So I don't know the levels that they have for these things, but if you sold 500,000 singles, you would get, I think, like a silver disc or something. I think it was like 1 million, you get a gold disc, and this sold 1.5 million. And we know that Rick Mail and presumably the other young ones definitely got a presented with a gold disc for the sales from this. We know this because Matt, we've seen it, haven't we? That was in a sort of job lot of Rick possessions that was auctioned, and the chap who got it, we visited his house because we were acquiring a couple of first draft bottom scripts, and one of the things he had was the gold disc.
When you say acquiring, you were buying them, weren't you? You weren't sneaking around the back and breaking into a locker.
I popped on my leotard and I was climbing using suckers along his ceiling. No. I was buying a couple of scripts, but he had the gold disc record, and so
why is that in there?
And that he put it on eBay and someone's bought it. Someone with a lot of money bought it, and I hope now has it pride of place on their wall. Hopefully a big Rick fan has it.
Do you know how that guy came to get all that stuff? He just acquired a locker, or was it that he'd actually been asked to deal with it, or what?
No, it was that. It was the first one. He bought.
It was a guy who, like, basically as a sort of like side hustle, or basically his main job, would buy and flip storage containers. People who presume, a bit like that Storage Wars thing. I think people, if they stop paying for the monthly fee or whatever, then eventually the stuff gets auctioned off.
But he reminded me of both Steptoe and Son rolled into one person.
He was sort of a
shithole.
Yeah, chain smoking roll ups. Like his place was just, it was like stuff everywhere that he's acquired. He's like, yeah, I'm going to sell that. I've got that in auction soon. Here, have a look at these, and showing us all this Rick stuff. And like, no, I'm going to sell that. Oh, do you want to buy this?
Well, amazing that at least it does get new life from someone else, like, like finding this gold and spending the time, like even if they're like them, it's Harry the Bastard, isn't it? One thing I did want to say, just to put it in context in terms of how many copies sold, like, so we're talking about comedy singles or whatever. Yeah, the Chicken Song by Spitting Image sold approximately 400,000 copies in the UK in 1986. Like that was around the same time. So the Chicken Song was iconic. I remember the Chicken Song.
That wasn't for charity though, was it?
No. But just to put it in context in terms of comedy singles, no, it wasn't for charity. That was just, I guess Spitting Image brought out a whole album, didn't they? I loved that. You talk about having things in the car with the family, like the Spitting Image album we had.
It's in
Absolutely
my
loved
head
all
now.
I
that.
think was it hold a chicken in the air or throw a chicken in the air? I asked this.
Chicken in the air.
I
Put a
asked
jack chair up your nose.
I asked this, knowing that not that long ago, I managed to get the answer correct on the first clue of Only Connect when it was. So the first clue was either throw a chicken in the air or hold a chicken in the air, and I was like, oh, the last one is going to be what fly a jumbo jet or bury all your clothes. I can't remember which one, but yeah, that was a big single. I remember being at school and like kids singing that song because that was all stilly, you know.
Yeah, it was great. And like, I mean, I think the B-side maybe was that I've never met a nice South African, which
Yes.
Yes.
was
Yes.
something that was absolutely fucking hilarious
Yeah.
at the time.
I've met a nice South African, and I asked him, "Have you heard this?" Yes, yes, of course I have. I hear it all the time.
We have met at least one.
Well, so speaking of spitting image, let's move on to the live show. Just the entire evening. I mean, the young ones are an absolute highlight of it, but the evening is just like the cream of 80s comedy talent, isn't it? You know, you've got spitting image stuff. You've got Rowan Atkinson and Angus Deaton doing the Fatal Beatings sketch for Rowan Atkinson's live show. Pamela Stevenson doing her Janet Street Porter that she'd done a lot in Not the 9 O'Clock News. Lenny Henry, who was sort of at the height of his powers at the time.
Several
and
was that the height, or was that not early?
Well, okay, all right. Early, young, thrusting, young comic, and it even began. I like that it even began with like the seal of approval from TV's Prime Minister, from Yes Prime Minister at the time.
Yes, that's
the character from that.
Yeah,
well, Jim Hacker, wasn't it? Yeah, like it's a real sort of like wealth of talent across the whole evening, wasn't it?
So you called Yes incredible. Minister, it was called, wasn't it? I think you said Yes Prime Minister.
It was Yes It was Yes Minister, and then it was Yes Prime Minister when the character.
Oh,
was it? Okay.
He becomes Prime Minister. That's the thing. Ronnie Corbett rocking up, Billy Connolly, of course, and then French and Saunders do a brilliant sketch about like contraception. Neither of them know what the fuck they're talking about, but like Dawn's doing usual like, you don't know that kind of stuff.
Early Jennifer Saunders always looks so fucking pissed off when she's on stage. Her characters, she looked always like all really stroppy.
But that was the game. That was there. French and Saunders, straight man, straight woman, and then Dawn was always the one that's a bit more stupid and flamboyant. So I've always felt Dawn's more of the Rick to Jennifer's Aid. You know, like if you were going.
So that's why she went with Aid. She chose Aid because of that reason.
You say opposites attract, but I think there is a similarity there with like Jennifer and Aid. Like they're both quite grounded, aren't they, in their performances? I mean, obviously when you move on to Ab Fab, she's very flamboyant and ridiculous, isn't she? She could do it all, and so can Aid. But anyway, we're not here to talk about.
Do you know what? One of my throwaway bit that's not the young ones in that is. Bob Geldof and Midge Ure going to a bank manager, played by Stephen Fry, and it's like, right, Mr. Geldof, and you're yes, yes. Like, come on, classic misunderstanding.
He's a merchant banker. I think it's like proper like stock market stuff, isn't it? And like anyway, it's a brilliant conceit that he's sort of like, well, I'm just going to give you a pound.
It sounds like I'd be a pound down on the deal.
What will I get back for that? And then no, you just give us it, and then we'll give it to Ethiopians. And he's like, this is a fantastic idea. People just give you money. Like, absolutely brilliant. The one thing I remember from this being repeated over and over was Lenny Henry as Frank Bruno and the Romeo and Juliet. When then Frank Bruno comes out as Juliet on the balcony. Like, soft what light from yonder window breaks, Harry, all that.
It showed that Frank Bruno had a great sense of humor, but that kind of at the time there was a bit of a backlash against him in the boxing world. In that, like, there was a lot of people going, "You're supposed to be like a serious tough guy, and here you are presenting yourself like this. You're losing credibility in the ring." What the
fuck? That's the whole point of charity nights like this. But that just shows you how early on this was in terms of the idea of showing yourself up for charity. Comic Relief made that happen, didn't it? Like that idea of we're just going to have fun. I mean, I will say, obviously, they're not the first to ever do a fundraiser. Obviously, you had the Secret Policeman's Ball in aid of Amnesty International, which had been preceded in the sort of 80s, wasn't it? In the 70s, it was kind of like Monty Python and the Beyond the Fringe lot, and they would do an evening of entertainment, raise loads of money, and so it wasn't like Comic Relief was a unique, brand new idea. But I do think the tone of Comic Relief was entirely new, like that naughtiness, that this is anything can happen and
Yeah.
anyone can do anything. It was fantastic.
Also, am I right in thinking that at the same time in 1986 that in the UK there was this comic relief, that in the US there was an American version with like Billy Crystal and Whoopi Goldberg and people like that doing a similar live show for Africa? Was there sort of, I don't know
What
if the
was
two were
that
happening in
called?
conjunction, but
It was called
I
Comic
think
Relief.
it was called Comic Relief, like Comic Relief for
Yeah,
yeah.
definitely was
okay.
called Comic Relief. I don't know if it was literally the same company. Probably would be.
If you search on YouTube, like anyone, hopefully anyone listening to this will seek out
What year was
the.
that?
I think 86. That could be later, but I could be mistaken. I'm hoping anyone listening to this will try and seek out the UK Comic Relief video because it's on YouTube. But if you search for Comic Relief 80s or 86 or whatever, you will get a lot of Billy Crystal, Whoopi Goldberg, other comics,
Oh yeah,
doing like an evening of stuff.
Robin
Yeah.
Williams.
Robin
and-
Williams?
And
86
Robin
to
Williams,
2011.
Wow.
So I don't know if they were happening in conjunction with each other, whether one inspired the other. I mean, it seems a bit of a coincidence. They both have the same name, so I assume
based on
they're
Comic
kinda
Relief
linked.
charity in United Kingdom.
Oh, okay. So the US kind of took the inspiration from the UK
Yeah.
version. Okay.
They're dedicated to the memory of Andy Kaufman, it says here, which is weird. They should be
Okay.
dedicating it to the starving people. All the money went to Andy Kaufman's estate, apparently.
Well,
Right.
they're getting the money. Look,
Okay.
look. Andy can have the dedication, and then the starving people can have the money. Okay.
Well, I need to look at the dates on this because this says like March 29th, 1986 was the release date for the first like American Comic Relief TV special, and that predates it's around the same time, the March of 1986 is the Young Ones single coming out, and then Utterly Live was in the April. Fascinating. I'm today years old learning about the fact the Americans had a similar
Comic Relief.
yeah.
I saw a sketch of Deep Space Nine finding a transmission of something from the late 80s, early 90s, and it's Whoopi Goldberg, and they're like, was it Gideon? That's her name of her character from Deep Space Nine.
Wait,
they're like, was that Guinan?
Sorry. Are you saying that the actual actors from Deep Space Nine did a skit? This isn't like someone's just like comped on the video
the
of
real
them
one.
like looking at the view. Really?
Yeah,
oh,
and
okay.
Like, it's that Guinan. It's like Guinan, and then Data's like, "Oh, this is Comic Relief, a charity that was in such and such in the 90s."
Oh,
like,
wait. Sorry. Yeah. Did you say Data?
Yeah.
Okay, so Star Trek: The Next Generation, not Deep Space Nine.
Oh, I said the wrong one. Yes, sorry. Yes.
Sorry. Okay. All right. Well, I've not seen that either, so I'm gonna have to have a look for that as well. Okay. I didn't know they'd done that. A little skit. Interesting. Well,
right.
They should have bloody done one for the UK version. They should have bloody done one for the UK version, and it should have had Data going, Is that Rick Mail? Yeah. I suppose he would have needed to have played a character in Star Trek for that to work.
Let's move on to what we're here to talk about. Do you think the introduction that Rick Mail gets, do you think was written by Rick Mail or what Ben Elton actually thinks? The sexiest man in comedy.
No, the sexiest man in the history of the universe.
Oh,
Mr.
there you
Rick
go.
Mail. That is the exact, because I absolutely love that intro by Ben. It's like, everyone prepare yourselves for a world event in comedy.
And it was.
Really fucking was.
Yeah.
I think, I mean, Ben and Rick's relationship was always very much that Ben was like, an equal but in awe of, and Rick would talk to him as if he was lesser than, right? And I think Ben played into that role completely. So I actually think Ben would have been more than happy to say the sexiest man in the history of the universe about Rick.
Age has said this on the recent Rick Mail documentary, that some of their early stuff, the material was just pretty basic and they performed the bollocks out of it, as they say. Rick's solo stuff on there is really written on the page, pretty bland, and it's 11 out of 10. Fucking still so funny. Yeah.
If you gave it to anyone else and got them to do it, it would be like, yeah, but you're right. It's all about the personality, the performance. It's half of it. Part of it's in the expectation of what you're going to get from Rick Mail before he comes on stage, and the other half is in him delivering on those expectations. Sorry.
For anyone listening, I just want to give a bit of because if you're listening to us and you haven't rewatched Utterly Live lately, like, please do go and watch it, because you're talking about Rick doing the opening song, "Do You Love Me? Would you like to see my pants?" All of that, like, building up to nipples. Would you like to see my bottom? Would you like to hear it fart? Like, do you like the whip? And then would you like to see my willy?
Yeah.
And you're absolutely right, Matt. I don't think any other performer would be able to come out do this material and get the laughs that Rick gets for that, because you have to have the attitude of Rick to sell it. And do you know what struck me? It was that when Rick was saying, or at least there was like him talking about how Little Richards, what you got to do is get them high, then get them really high, and then then you get off stage. And Rick took that
you get off the
idea of
stage.
building excitement in the crowd. He absolutely leapt onto that, and that for comedy purposes. And that is never more evident to me than here in this performance of Rick doing the "Do you love me?" and all that. Like it's absolutely brilliant.
I can't remember who it was. Someone was talking about one of their opening nights performing at the comic strip, and they were talking about how they'd written all of this stuff that they thought was really edgy and exciting, and then Rick Mal went on stage and just started shouting, "Do you want to see my pants?" and tore the room off the place, and fucking people in hysterics, and you're just like, I tried really hard, and he's so I think like he didn't have that much live material. Rick, he used to recycle it a lot for the bottom fluffs and stuff. The donkey blow your bollocks off. What did the man with the
what did a man with a 2-foot cock have for breakfast? But what I would like to say about this performance is that you get the double joke that he then pulls a rubber chicken out of his pants. So that joke, the setup, and then that payoff absolutely fucking is brilliant, isn't it? Live, it's like, what does a man with a 2-foot cock have for breakfast? This morning I had a boiled egg, and then he pulls a rubber chicken out of his pants, and it's like it's an extra tag, isn't it? Because it still works even if you're just bragging about the size of your cock. But then to pull out a rubber chicken, like it's just that's more Rick the character.
Do you think you could have any of the other young ones doing a solo bit for 5 minutes? Because
Neil and Vivian, I think could.
Yes, I agree. You could get, because I think there have been other shows when they've had, where Nigel Plain has been on stage on his own doing a bit. Like even in this, even if the other guys were further backstage, Neil was up front doing the. I can't remember what it was, but like he gets like an and he goes, "Don't patronize me." He's doing his bit. You could have Vivian out doing his own thing, but Vivian's quite good having people to react off.
Yeah, I don't think Vivian really works solo as much. He is part of a team. I agree. Yeah, Neil could work on his own and did originally.
He could have come out and done a song or whatever. Yeah. And later on when he introduces Ben Elton.
And this is why Neil and Rick were like the two main ones probably that Paul Jackson originally put into the young ones, and Rick and Neil were the ones that Paul Jackson wanted to put on originally on Boom Boom Out Go the Lights. And it's probably, that says something, that those are the ones that you could actually hang a 5-minute introduction off or a 5-minute solo bit off of either of them, because the characters are there, they've got like a bit more longevity and stuff behind them.
Neil does introduce another act as well, doesn't he? And there's something he's like, we're going to get to a really heavy part of the evening.
The whole show that they do, I mean, the whole bit they do is great, isn't it? You've got Rick doing his stuff, but then they come on. And once they come on, it feels like it's fairly evenly split between the four of them. Even Mike, when he first comes on, gets some good laughs,
Do you think the hair on Vivian and Mike, I think, is a bit different for this? Do you think that is because it's for the wide, for the cheap seat sort of thing? Like Mike, does Mike have kind of like a curly hair Elvis thing?
It'll definitely be just there's different wigs, different things available. I mean, it's 2 years on from the actual filming of the young ones, isn't it? So, but I think you're right. It'll be because it's in the theatre. There's like less of a need for it to be like perfect, like you would have for video. So I think it's slightly off from what you're used to seeing.
Also, because Aid hasn't played the character for ages, I'm assuming his hair was like a bit long, like Aid's probably not going to go, I'll cut my hair to how I had it for Vivian. What we'll do is you can just style it how it is and make it work. Put the temporary color in it. I don't think it's the same color.
No, it's definitely a wig, because at the end he comes out on stage with his blonde hair.
Oh, okay.
It's definitely a wig.
Oh, okay. All right. But was Mike's hair different?
I thought it was kind of a little bit like an Elvis-y, like an Elvis wig, not like how Elvis actually ever looked, like a cartoon of Elvis.
Okay. I think he's trying to outdo Cliff Richard.
Yeah, sure.
Maybe with a queefed hairdo. Yeah, possibly. I think you're right. Viv's definitely wearing a wig because you can see Aid at the end. But yeah, what is interesting to note about the live performances, because there are 3 of them that it was filmed across, there are, depending on which one you're watching, you get a different performance you get a different lead singer that comes out, because on the BBC broadcast it was Cliff Richard, and then I believe on the video it was Bob Geldof. Like that is
Yeah.
amazing to me, that when I was watching this on YouTube, there were 2 versions. And so the joke of, oh no, Cliff's blown out the gig. And then it's like, what do you mean? He's farted and all that. And then we got John Craven instead and all that. And then on one of them, Cliff actually comes out. And then on another one, it's that Bob Geldof rocks up.
So I guess Bob's there anyway, isn't he? So they didn't get him special. He's just, oh, you're a music guy. It's him or Midjure, and they chose.
All I can imagine is that Cliff was only available for one night.
Yeah.
Oh, cool. Okay. So how many nights was it in total? It was 3, right? So one night was Cliff, one night was Bob.
Two nights with Bob. 2 nights with Bob.
2 nights with Bob.
Yeah. So whether or not Cliff at the last minute was available and came and did it, and it was always going to be the joke that it was Bob, I don't know, but I think it's great that Cliff actually came along to one of them, and the suit he's wearing is absolutely fucking like amazing. This red kind of, like, he almost looks like Cat off Red Dwarf, like like one of those 80s suits.
He does, doesn't he? And he's got. Am I right in thinking he's got like a proper 80s mullet? Am I remembering that correctly? Like literally, like down the back of the neck.
Yeah. It couldn't look more 80s if it tried, basically, how Cliff looks in that video. But he's having such fun with them all up there, and you could tell they are.
Yeah.
Like, you can tell they're like, I can't believe this is fucking happening. We're on stage with Cliff Richard.
John Craven, for those that don't know, including I had no idea who he was. He's a Newsround presenter. So the joke is someone utterly unsuited to do a live rock and roll bit.
I think not just presenter. I think he originated it. It used to be called John Craven's Newsround, and then when he left it, or they started over, or like they had other presenters on it, it just became Newsround. But it was his show. And then now I know him from John Craven's Newsround and Country File. I don't know him from anything else, but even with those 2, it seems like the BBC's kept him in a nice big house for most of his life.
Yeah, he's definitely a very serious kind of, and that's the joke, like you say. That's the ridiculous thing, that he'd be coming out singing Living Doll. But when Bob Geldof comes out, one of the things I particularly love is Aid taking the chance to really take the piss out of Bob, and it's like, I know loads of Irish jokes, but you're my favourite one. And you can tell it's Aid who's like, I said that.
Are they right now? I've seen the Cliff one, but I don't think I've seen the Bob one. Are they do they base? Is it jokes based around him doing Live Aid, or is it based? Because I know him more from that than doing the Boomtown Rats. I only know one song from the Boomtown Rats. So is it? It's not based around him being a musician as much as him doing Live Aid, is it? Or is it? No.
I mean, honestly, they don't really have that much banter with him. He comes out and like Viv says that, and it's like, I think it's Bob. When did you last take a bath? I think that's asked. Sort of about his hygiene, because he looks like he doesn't wash, doesn't he? So it's kind of that kind of thing rather than anything to do. They don't take the piss out of the Band-Aid thing, I don't think, do they?
Geldof, when he comes on stage, has got the demeanor of Chris Martin doing the cameo in Extras. You know what I mean? They're just like, it's me. It's me. Like, I'm like, oh, fucking hell, mate. Come on.
Right.
Like, you're next to the young ones. No one's going, wow, it's Bob Geldof.
And that is where you think Cliff was amazing at kind of setting his ego aside in that way, wasn't he? Because Cliff, I think throughout it doesn't really, I mean, there's a bit where he's trying to like dance in front of them or whatever, and he's blocking them, but he's not mugging to the audience and trying to steal the limelight or anything. He's absolutely aware that actually they're there for the young ones, not him. Like in the context of that night, and that, I don't know, like obviously I'm not a Cliff Richard fan as such, but like everything from growing up seeing him do this kind of stuff was always like, oh, well, he must be all right, you know what I mean? But then again, who knows what the truth about Cliff Richard actually is. But, I mean, I love that in the Bachelor Boys book. There's one bit in the Bachelor Boys book where it's like, Cliff is not gay, brackets, it would be okay if he was. Or something, there's something like that within there. There's loads of Sue Barker stuff, isn't there?
In certain sections of the press, there was always a sort of sly inference or implication that Cliff Richard was gay and that Sue Barker was kind of his cover, wasn't it? Yeah, beard. That's the word, isn't it? Yeah. I mean, like for me, he was the guy who did Living Doll. And then he was the guy who every Christmas there was some sort of worthy mistletoe and wine song or something like that. That's what he was for me growing up. He was Living Doll, Christmas, and then he'd pop up at Wimbledon and sing congratulations, and along with a few unsavory rumors.
Yeah, in many ways he's like the Messiah. Yeah, he just just pops up at Christmas.
So to me, he's like Sue Carpenter in Bottom. I've heard his name. I'm aware of who he is through Rick Mail, and that's it.
Yeah, I mean, Mistletoe and Wine was a banger, wasn't it, back in the day? But no, I hated that song. He's just always been around, doesn't he? It's like the Beatles, anything like that. He's just always been around, and he's always been a household name.
Yeah.
And then the young ones had become a household name, and in turn, obviously, Rick Mail, Ade Edmondson, Nigel Planer, and Chris Ryan. Now, they all became household names in that time. Like whether everyone could name Mike is like questionable. But like they were up there. They were giving it their all. They were absolutely like. There's no kind of difference in equality on who's owning that stage. Like it's really joyful. If anyone listening hasn't watched it for a while, I would honestly recommend going and watching all of Utterly Utterly Live. You can find both versions great. I could only find the full version of the one that's got Cliff in, which is I think it's the one that was brought out on video. It was broadcast on the BBC. So it might have a few things edited out. I don't know. Apparently there's an audio version of it that didn't have things edited out, which I'd like to listen to.
Okay.
Probably
there might be released on LP or something.
A few more rude bits or whatever in there. But they squeezed as much as they could out of it because, of course, it was all going to charity, isn't it? So it's like there's a video, there's an audio tape, and it was broadcast, and there was the live event. Like 3 nights. Like, I mean, amazing to have been there. I know on the Rick Mail scrapbook, there's some really great pictures and some footage from Chris Shields, who wrote the Rick Mail biography, Tears of a Clown. He was there as a teenager. Getting autographs and all that kind of stuff from the guys. Annoyingly, his tape chewed up on Rick, like so he doesn't have the video footage of Rick.
No.
Heartbreaking, isn't it? But like there's footage of Rowan and there's stills of Rick. But Rick's like Q, you can see everyone's like swarming around him.
Yeah.
Just amazing. It would have been incredible to be there.
The Spitting Image was on as well. Have you guys got a memory of seeing the young ones characters as Spitting Image puppets in a photo somewhere? I have, but they never actually were on the show. I've never seen them be animated puppeteered as the real puppets, so I don't know what that's from.
I don't know whether they made them. I think that there was like a TV Times picture from like a TV magazine or something that had
that rings
pictures
a bell
of them as puppets, but I don't know I don't recall if they ever appeared actually on Spitting Image.
Yeah, I don't remember that, but it feels weird if they made the puppets to not, because there's a lot of money and time that goes into making proper puppet. I don't remember that image, so maybe we'd have to go back through all the Spitting Image, because of course there was a lot of crossover on this night. Like I think it's Chris Barry does the voice for Prince Andrew, doesn't he?
You can tell.
And Neil Kinnock's actually there in the box, isn't he? Neil Kinnock's
right.
there.
Yeah, getting the Janet Street Porter treatment from Pamela Stevenson. But that was one of. I mean, Chris Barry was one of the big voice people for Spitting Image in the 80s. Even when he was doing bits in Blackadder, and then I think even when Red Dwarf was happening, he was still doing. Neil Kinnock and Prince Andrew and
Steve Coogan, the other notable one.
The Prince of Edinburgh. Steve Coogan then came along as well. I mean, Steve Coogan does a great Neil Kinnock on the trip. If it were something that Rob Brydon says is the best thing he's ever done, which Coogan takes umbrage at. The best thing I've ever done, Neil Kinnock saying, "Answer the question."
It is a brilliant impression, though, but all of Coogan's impressions are amazing. But yeah, anyway, I would recommend everyone watching it.
Was their appearance, was them doing Living Doll on these nights, was that the last time the young ones were together as a group doing something together, or was there anything after that?
I believe this would be. I don't know of anything after that. Do you, Matt?
That's what I understand. It was their swan song. So the on stage with Cliff began and ended with Cliff. Ange, do you want to talk us through your brainwave that you had while we were at Rickfest, or did you want to do that on the Rickfest episode?
No, I'll talk about it while we're talking about the young ones. It occurred to me that the entire Young Ones series is a bookend. In that, if no one's watched the studio, you might be like, "What's the bookend?" But in the studio, the recent series set in Hollywood, it's kind of like, "Oh, we love a bookend where like a film starts with the same topic and then ends with the same topic, basically, right?" And the Young Ones opens with Rick Mayall performing his Cliff poem to Neil in the kitchen, doesn't it? It starts with him doing the whole Cliff, you must sometimes really feel as if you truly are a cliff, right? That's the opening of the entire Young Ones. And then the end of the Young Ones series 2 is Cliff, and they career over the edge of a cliff. So it is a bookend. Whether that was intentional, I don't know, but it just occurred. I was like, oh, that had not dawned on me until this very moment. So yeah, I don't know if anyone else has already put that 2 and 2 together and thinks, what an absolute idiot. But that felt like a weird epiphany to me when we were there.
When we talked about that final episode, do you remember? We worked out that because the few that was close was added due to the fact that the bus didn't explode on impact, the intended last word in the script was actually going to be Cliff, wasn't it? It would look out Cliff.
Yeah.
So, yeah. So that's It is. You're right. It's nice, from beginning to end.
Yeah.
Cliff starts us, Cliff ends us. Yeah.
Yeah. If you don't have few that was close, yeah, it would have
the
been
original.
Yeah.
The original script, the line was actually, "Look out, there's a Cliff Richard sign in front of a cliff that we could drive over," which wasn't as snappy.
They edited that down, did they? Yeah. Ben Elton wrote that full one, and then Lisa snipped it a bit. Yeah. Obviously we're joking, but yeah, no, brilliant. I mean, I'm really quite sad we come to the end of our Young Ones content. Because there is nothing else, is there? There's nothing else for us to pour over. We've done Bachelor Boys, we've done Oh No Not Them. Don't want to revisit Oh No Not Them. But that obviously came out in 1989 in terms of the pilot, and in terms of us watching it, it's been a lot longer than we had to wait for that. But for me, like, this is the final bit of the Young Ones. This is the Young Ones finishing, isn't it? Like,
yes,
the actual British proper Young Ones.
Well, so that's why we put them out in this order. The Young Ones. No,
exactly. That's why we put them out in this
order.
Yeah. Like, Oh No Not Them's like a bonus bit of, whatever. But we wanted to end on the final bit of Young Ones, which is them on stage having enough fantastic, get them higher. And when you can't get them any higher, then leave the stage. Like, you can see the crowd are absolutely rapturous when they're on. And it's amazing. I'm so glad it was filmed. We always go on about why wasn't Waiting for Godot filmed. And here was an amazing charity event in 1986 getting filmed. But of course, they didn't think that, there was any worth in filming Rickenade and Waiting for Godot a couple of years later, which is criminal, as we've already said. But yeah, what a way to end! What a way to go out with Bob Geldof. They should have got Keith Chegwin on, shouldn't they? I'd loved it if Keith had come out
naked for his naked attraction days.
Definitely a worthwhile reason to bring them back. After they'd died in a fireball, to raise lots of money for charity. A successful way. It wouldn't have been. It's good it wasn't like a damp squib of like, oh, we're going to bring them back, and then it sold 50 copies. It did well. They got their gold discs. They raised a lot of money for charity, and then they were like, bang, done. And they all moved on, and they all had big successes elsewhere, which is also good. It's not like one of them. I know. I mean, like even Christopher Ryan. If you looked at his career, you'd be like, well, he went on and he was in Bottom and Absolutely Fabulous and Doctor Who and all these things. So yeah, they've all had great successes since then. Yeah.
They have. They're all talented guys, aren't they? All very talented. That's why we love them.
I think it's unusual that even Chris Ryan gets a solo moment in the Comic Relief Live event where he introduces someone else. He has a little skit or something. So Rick, Neil, Mike all get a solo bit, but Aid Vivian doesn't, which I actually thought was a little bit strange. Maybe, he does say he's quite shy.
I didn't really think about that, whether he didn't come back on. I mean, he was backstage knobbing Kate Bush, wasn't he? That's what was happening. Viv was meant to come on, and probably Neil had to be pushed on, because I love how unsure Neil is, and he's like, ladies and gentlemen, Benetton, and like about Ben Elton. But yeah, I think he's back. I think he's in the bush. I think he came on Kate's bush. I love that when it's like, I'm using Neil as contraception. Absolutely great visual stuff. Thank you for listening, everyone. We come to the end of our Talking Bottom on the Young Ones series, but that is not it. We are going to be having Paul Jackson live at the Rickmail Comedy Festival, released shortly after this. So it's going to be out on YouTube because we filmed it. We got official cameras in. We've got Paul Jackson from every angle. And, in the dressing room, we stuffed one in the toilet there, didn't we? No, we've got him on stage, and you know, it'll add to, and it'll make you feel like you were there. If anyone couldn't come to Rickfest and join us in the room, then we hope that this will make you feel like you've got a little taste of Rickfest, and you know, maybe you'll look at coming for 2027 because yeah, it was a fantastic day. Can't wait for everyone to hear about it.
You've tickled me with the idea of us putting a GoPro down the toilet for to see Paul Jackson's gaping arsehole.
I didn't mean down the toilet. I meant up on the ceiling to see his pants. What I meant. But you want to see his? Yeah. You want to see how hefty Paul Jackson's turds are.
And here we have, and now we have the Godfather of alternative comedy taking a shit.
Close up on the turd. Close up on the turd, everyone. Oh God, we're sometimes accused of loving base and horrible anal toilet humor. I don't really understand why that gets leveled at bottom fans. But yeah, anyway, so please do look out for our links for that on our socials. If you aren't following us already, we're at Talking Bottom on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter /X, Blue Sky, and TikTok. We're not on Threads, are we? Or at least we don't bother. Find us on there. Give us a follow if you're not already. If you haven't heard the news, we've got an audiobook out of our book, Talking Bottom, A Guide to the Cult Sitcom. Lee Corns has voiced it, Dick Head. So we're really excited about that. That's finally out for you all to listen to. We would love to hear your feedback. So I know it'll probably take you a while to get through all 9 hours and 6 minutes. But yeah, please do let us know what you think of it. And if you did buy the book and you're reading along and you're really enjoying it, like, take some pictures, because can't take pictures of an audiobook. It's quite tricky to publicize, isn't it?
You could take a picture of the waveform. Get a picture of the waveform and use that as a screenshot.
Thanks for listening, everyone, and fuck off.
Thanks a lot. See you next time.
Bye.